So, what do we got here?
Well, today I found a box of my old comic books. Now, I have them in order from the ones I made. This one, my first actual comic book I made in the beginning of first grade. As you can see, my amazing drawings.
Let me see.
So, this was my attempt at a superhero comic.
Wait, what's the name of this?
The Adventures of Captain Fireball.
Okay.
And then, so, basically what happens in it is this guy, he's trying to rob this nuclear power plant.
Let me see.
He's trying to rob this nuclear power plant, but for some reason it's filled with gas. Don't ask why. But then this gas, it travels to this hospital where this newborn baby named Jake, he inhales it, and then all of a sudden he's getting super powerful. So the villain, his name is Dr. El Friso. So basically what his origin story is he's trying to build this freezing machine, but something goes wrong, so he goes up to it to figure out what's going on, but someone finds out the problem, and they zap him with it because proper lab safety measures, and it blows up, and then he turns into this beautiful thing, and then for some reason he wants to build something that destroys the entire Earth. So for this next chapter, I made this when I was super obsessed with Transformers, so basically what he does is it takes him 13 years to build this Transformer thing. Named what was it called? Demolisher. And he's like so then he kills his parents. And then
He said with a laugh.
Yeah. So then he kills his parents, and then for some reason, out of pure rage, his house blows up, and then he turns into Captain Fireball.
Oh.
So then he flies to Dr. El Friso when he's causing trouble, and then he knocks him down. He's like, "You killed them! It was for your own good!" So he zaps him off the side of Demolisher, but he flies up. And so then he takes out one of his fireballs and he throws him at him. He's like, "Who do you think you are, Captain Fireball?" He's like, "Yep." So he throws another one, and he destroys the machine. So he jumps off, but the captain was knocked out. So Dr. El Friso ties him up, and then he's like, "Give up," and he's like, "Give it all it takes."
And wait, there was a big zap.
Yeah, so he zaps him, and then he's super weak for some reason. And then
So wait, he's Captain Fireball.
yes.
So who is he a captain of? Does he have lieutenants?
I don't know. Just
he's just
captains.
he's just
like Captain America. Or
he
something.
decided he was the captain.
Yes, he was automatically the captain, even though he's technically 13.
Okay.
So the ending is weird because then he's like, "Must get stronger." So then all of a sudden he starts imploding. He's like, "Say something, make me feel better after I kill you." He's like, "I'll kill Cutman." But the thing is, Cutman isn't even my superhero. He's actually my best friend's superhero.
Which best friend is that?
Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
So he made the superhero a long time ago called Cutman.
And he cuts people?
Yeah, and then he has scissors for hands.
Oh, okay.
And then he kills Dr. El Friso, not even Captain Fire. He's like, "Oh my god, Cutman," and then the end.
Note. Wait, what's the note there?
It says, "This is pretty much the end of the story, so ... never mind."
Okay.
So that was the first comic I ever made. I made that in first grade.
Okay.
So then, this was I made this at the end of fourth grade. So it's a Portal 2 fan comic called Land of Turrets, because I was really into the Portal games at the time. And this one is okay, but I feel like it'd be a lot more readable if I could actually draw. So basically, we see here Chell is just going through a normal test chamber, but for some reason she can see that the companion cube is talking to her. But Gladys is like, as she goes to the elevator, she's like, "Remember, bring your daughter to workday crap." And then she starts having PTSD or something like that of 19 years ago. I can't remember what it actually was in the Portal universe. But basically, this is also the day that they start up GLaDOS.
Mm-hmm.
And then they bring her to life, and she's like, "Hey, GLaDOS, I hate you." He's like, "What?" He's like, "Nothing." So then she starts to turn on all the neurotoxin, and then it starts going through the air vents and starts poisoning everyone. and then all these robotic arms come down and start killing all the scientists. So then little baby Chell's starting to run away, but then Doug Ratman, he saves her through a portal, but then GLaDOS knows where they are, so they start running away. And then another robotic arm grabs Chell, and Doug, and an aerial faceplate throws Doug away. So then GLaDOS pulls up Chell to the testing chambers, so she can make her a test subject. So then basically she goes back to her little sleep thingy. And the last page, in the past, like, Doug Ratman gets thrown to the cube storage. And then we also see that he can talk to the cubes, and he's like, "It's you. I never left." And that was the end.
Is that the companion cube?
Yeah, that's the companion cube. So it was just a little fan comic. And then there was like a 3-year gap of me. Like, I never really made comics for a long time. But then I started making, like, tiny strips and then developing new characters. So, and I wanted to make a comic book, so I made this. The Sending, which is basically my parody of The Shining.
So how long ago did you make this?
I made this around 2 months ago. So basically my characters, we have, this is me, this is Theo, or Theoretical Person, and this is Mr. Cinder. He doesn't talk, or at least in this one. So here we see that...
Now, is this a parody of the movie The Shining?
Yes,
or
the movie. There are a few things I added from the book, because I read the book, I made this just after I finished the book. So we see Tronald Dump, wink, wink. He's giving them his hotel to watch over for the winter. He's like, "But I do need to say that my hotel has not had a wide range of satanic rituals, murders, suicides, witch burnings, jigsaw killings, and Justin Bieber concerts." And I say, what an oddly specific thing to say. So we take the job, but we find out that Theo can actually read Tronald Dump's mind. He's like, "You have the sending!" And he's like, "What is this sending?" So he can read people, but he can only listen to other people who have it for some reason in this universe. And he's like, "Oh, use it to contact me if you need to." And he's like, "Why would I?" But he drives away anyway. So then, the first day, Mr. Cinder's writing a novel, but I keep annoying him. He's like, "Hey, what you doing?"
Wait, you keep annoying him?
Yeah, I keep annoying him.
Which one are you?
I'm this one with the hair. I'm the only one in this comic who has hair.
Oh, I see.
So, but he doesn't, of course, he doesn't take too kindly to me distracting him from his writing, so he does this weird creepy-eyed thing to scare me away. I'm like, you know what, never mind. So on Tuesday, Theo, he's riding down the hallway past room 217, and then he sees the twin girls. He's like, "Whoa," and they're like, "Come plane with us." And he's like, "You mean come play? Come plane with us, Theoretical Person." So then he shuts his eyes, trying to make them go away. And then he opens them again. And then they look like this. Like, "Come plane with us." And he's screaming throughout. We hear screaming throughout the hotel. And Mr. Cinder's just clearly annoyed. So then he has, of course he's all shaken up and scared. But Mr. Cinder doesn't want to have anything to deal with it, and we're like, "Hey, stop doing this to him. He's not doing anything to you." But he punches me, and then so he goes to this bar, which even though the hotel's supposed to be empty, there's this bartender kid. He's like, "A little slow tonight, you think?" And then Mr. Cinder, he starts laughing, even though, like I said, he's never made a single noise in his life. So, and then the kid's like, "What'll it be?" And then, he reads his mind, so he immediately gives him a drink. And, of course, Theo and I were wondering why he's laughing, because it's really weird for him to. So then, I go to the bar, and he's talking to this kid. He's just telling him stories of people who died in the hotel. But I was like, "Hey!" So then we cut back to this. He's, back in reality again, so, and there's no one there. There's no drinks or anything. So he's back on Thursday. He's back typing his novel, and I'm like, "Why? Who are you talking to?" But of course he doesn't want to have any of that. So then I see what he was typing on his laptop, and it says, "All talk and no work makes Cindy go crazy. All talk and no work makes Cindy go crazy. And all talk and no work makes Cindy go crazy." And then he runs into the room with an axe, and I'm like, "Oh crap! What are you doing?" So then he starts laughing, and I'm just kind of freaking out. So then I say, what are you going to do with that? Put the axe down. Put the axe down now. I forgot to draw my hair here. I just realized that. And then he says, okay. So then he brings it down on me, but I dodge it. And then he's just going, like, he's just laughing like crazy. So I run away and tell Theo he's going to kill us with an axe. So he uses the sending to call Tronald Dump. So Mr. Cinder's looking throughout the hotel to see what's going on, and then from room 217 he hears someone laughing. He's like, where are you? And then someone says, I'm in here. He's like, you just made the worst choice. And then he finds Celestia in the bath, and she's like, you want to... Celestia, that's her name. This is actually the first time I ever starred her in one of the comics. I've had her in mind for different stuff, but never really introduced her. And she's like, you want to get in the bath with me? But then the bartender kid just somehow teleports here, and he's like, I'm sure Cindy would love to, but he's busy. Sorry, Cel. And then she says, you always ruin my fun, meaning that this has happened before, and like they know each other. So then he says, Tronald's coming. I suggest you take care of that. And Celestia is just a rotting body now.
Whoa, what?
Because over here in the bar we hear the bartender kid saying, and then so she went and drowned herself. So
okay.
Meaning he was talking about her. Got it. So of course I'm talking about like that woman in The Shining. So then Tronald Dump, he comes in, but then all of a sudden, so Mr. Cinder surprise attacks him. But in my world, Tronald Dump has telekinesis. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Telekinesis is awesome. So then he can easily dodge Mr. Cinder's attacks. But of course, he has to spend money to use the attacks, so he only has a certain amount. So then he smashes him against the wall, and he starts bleeding like crazy, and then he's all beat up, but he's still going. He's like, really? That's it? That's all you got? So then he runs out of telekinesis to use. So then he slits his throat.
Who slits whose throat?
Mr. Cinder slits Tronald Dump's throat.
Got it.
And then so Theo and I were hiding in the bathroom while Mr. Cinder started smashing through the door. But Theo doesn't want to just wait in the bathroom to die. So he goes off and hides somewhere. So Mr. Cinder breaks into the room, and he's like, guys, I'm home. So I'm here hiding.
This is like the here's Johnny moment.
So then here we see Theo is hiding behind a dresser with a knife, and he's like, where are you? I'm not gonna hurt ya. I'm just gonna beat you till you don't breathe. So then he starts knocking on the door, and I say, go away. And he's like, but son, you forgot to take your medicine, which is a homage to the book. Mm-hmm. So then he starts smashing.
Is that happens in the Shining novel?
Yeah, in the novel, Jack constantly says, I'm gonna make you take your medicine like a man. And all that, so then he starts smashing through the door, and I'm like, no, please! And he's like, stop. Okay, so he leans in. Here's Cindy! And I'm like, stay back! So he gets into the bathroom, and then he's about to kill me, but then Theo, he sneaks up behind him and stabs him in the back of his head, and he says, you did this! So I grab his axe, and I smash his face in. And like, ew. What do you say we get home? And I'm like, heh, sure. And that was the end. So
now where does this take place? It's in a conference, or no? Is it in? It's not the Overlook Hotel.
No, it's not the Overlook Hotel. It's like hotel. It's like one of Trump's tower, the Trump Tower.
Oh, so Dump Tower, I suppose.
Dump Tower.
Yes,
yeah.
Got it.
So this one, I made this a little bit after, but it's like a zombie apocalypse one called Comic of the Dead. It's okay overall. I haven't completely finished it yet, but I made I'd say about 95% of all the drawings on a beach and with no good surface to draw on. So if it looks a little wonky, that's about normal. Mm-hmm. So basically, I'm just gonna.
You drew this in Cuba?
Yeah, in Cuba. So I was on the beach for most of the time. So I'm
and
probably.
What was happening down there?
Well, our Wi-Fi actually cut out for the first half week I was there, so I was like a week and a half without Wi-Fi. So
How did you happen to be in Cuba?
Oh, my dad works for the military, and we got to go down and visit him for Thanksgiving and my birthday.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm just going to skim over this one because it's pretty long. It's it's like just 50 pages, and like I only have one more page to draw, so I'm just gonna skim over this one.
Maybe we don't want to spoil it until it's done, and then you can walk us through it when it's finished.
I mean, there's.
Or do you want to show us some highlights?
Yeah, I guess I'll just show you some highlights. We could do like a in-depth one later. So here we see, this is actually Celestia for the first time in an actual comic. It's the main character. So she has a VA interceptor like Mad Max, because this is sort of like a Mad Max meets a zombie apocalypse one.
Got it.
So she drives to this old farmhouse, and then she kills a zombie, and then she's like, all right, maybe it's not so empty. And then so she finds a whole bunch of food and water, and then so she goes upstairs. And then she finds a bunch of zombies crowded around some guy who hung himself a while ago. And she's like, nothing you haven't seen before, even though she's clearly like mortified about it. And so but then one of the floorboards creaks and they all look towards her. So one of the zombies jumps towards her and she starts fighting them all. But one like pulls out her ponytail and she flips
like
around.
Yanks it off?
Yeah,
rips her hair out.
Because in the Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks, he always said like you never have long hair ponytails because that's
kind
exactly
of like,
what will happen to you.
No capes.
Yeah, exactly, no capes. So then she gets out with the food and water, and then she drives back. But we learn that she lives in this community run by Tronald Dump.
Oh man, him again.
Yeah, him. He's gonna be in. I love that guy. He's awesome. He's telekinesis.
Yeah, okay.
So they let her in, and we learn that like this virus broke out that and basically as soon as it broke into the U.S. Dump in this world, he actually built the wall because that's possible. So then he extends and builds like this big wall of shipping containers. So then we see there's like this thriving community with a whole bunch of people. But, like, even though she had 17 water bottles, 10 cans of food, and, like, 6 candy bars, she only gets, like, one of each back. So then she comes back, and here she shares, like, an apartment with Mr. Cinder from the last comic. And this time, he can actually talk. Because at first, in the comic strips and in the sending, he didn't talk. Cause I don't know why, but I wanted him to talk in this to give him an actual character. So we learn that tomorrow they're going to go on this mission where they have to, where they're going to go, because this outpost stopped communicating with them and they have to go see what's going on. So this is chapter 2. It's called Fury Road. Very creative. So basically they get up, but they get new big guns here. Like she gets a fancy shotgun and he gets like this big fancy Uzi. So they go out and then they're just talking about like what Dump is doing right now. When she says he's most likely doing everything in his power to make our lives better and our government as best as it can be. But clearly, meanwhile, he is not. But then they realize there's like this big gang of cars behind them, and they all look angry. So wait,
the Tronald Dump's guys are all the ones chasing them?
No, they're not chasing them. They're just like this gang.
They're an evil gang.
Yeah. So then they start to shoot. So then the gang starts to shoot at their tiny car. But of course, Mr. Cinder doesn't take too kindly to that. So he starts shooting at this truck. But they have bulletproof glass, so that he can't get through. So Celestia she shoots him through and blows his head off. But then he
blows Tronald Dump's head
off?
off?
No. He's not here.
Oh, okay.
He blows the stickman guy's head off.
Oh, okay.
And then he pushes down onto the pedal, and they smash into the back of the interceptor. So the evil guys are like, move forward. So they jump forward on the top of their car, and they're about to shoot them. But of course, Mr. Cinder just shoots them through the roof. So then he catches one of these guys' shotguns, but they realize they can't lead this huge gang to this tiny outpost, so they turn around, and then, but they're still following them, and we see that this is actually New Mexico, so. So the wall, he says the wall should hold them off, but next panel are like, wall destroyers are in position. So basically they're gonna try and destroy the wall, and he's like, explosive check, everyone. And everyone's like, all right, we got explosives ready. But then we hear this big boom, and then we learn that there's this huge hole in the wall. So he's like, a massive hole has been made. So we see, and then there's this huge horde of zombies, and they just look towards the giant hole and are about to go inside the walls. So chapter 3, I actually really like the cover for this one. It looks cool. So chapter 3, within the walls. So basically what they're doing is they're going to try and get to the tower because it's the most heavily guarded place within the walls. So then they start smashing through the zombies, but then she gets out because she's having a lot of fun just doing this because she's been stuck here for years and she hasn't been able to do a whole bunch. But then this guy, he's out here, he's like slicing zombies' heads off, but he's too into the mix, and then he accidentally stabs her all the way through. So then she starts bleeding like crazy. And then he's like, "I'm sorry, I thought she was one of them." And then Mr. Cinder, he kills him, and he's like, "All right, get up." So he starts to get her back to the car, but then this guy he becomes a zombie, but he scratches Mr. Cinder, and he's like, "All right, let's go." So they go back to their apartment, and then he starts to stitch her up because he's actually super smart, but apparently because there's a comic that I made I want to make that's sort of like a prequel to this that kind of explains these two's backstory together. So at first it's gonna seem kind of weird, but like she just, because she says, "I don't want all the years we've spent together to end like this." So then he kisses her, which isn't really like an "I love you" kiss. It's just more of like a goodbye because he starts turning into like a zombie, but it's like slow and painful for him because it wasn't a bite, it was more of a scratch, so it's like just slowly going through him. And then he wants her to go to sleep so he doesn't have to see him like this. And she's like, "I don't want to. I could put a bullet in my skull with you." And then he doesn't want her to. He wants her to keep going. He's like, "I made a promise to your father and to myself that I would keep you safe. That for some reason, I need to change that I would keep you safe, and I plan to keep it." So then she falls asleep, and then we find that he killed himself. So then he leaves this note
because he knew he was.
Yeah, he knew he was
basically
basically screwed, and he didn't want to hurt her. So then he leaves this note but basically it says Tronald made the virus so he could take over the world. And then he purposely like called that gang to make the hole in the wall to deal with overpopulation. So
he's using zombie apocalypse as a means of controlling.
Yeah, basically.
Uh-huh.
And then we learn, he says that he actually worked for Tronald. He was forced to help make the virus with him. But he tells her to go kill Tronald, and then and then Celestia can go home, like actual home. But of course she's kind of freaking out, and she doesn't want to do all this because basically this Mr. Cinder, there's a lot more to him. He means a lot to her that I'm yet to explain in another comic. So she wants to kill herself. So then she's freaking out. She wants him to come back really bad, but then she eventually figures out, screw it, I'm going home. So then the fourth and final chapter, and if any of you have played Undertale, you might recognize this. But so basically, she starts
Looks like she's facing off against Tronald Dump.
Yeah, she is. But so she starts driving to the dump tower, but these guards are outside and they're shooting zombies. So she's about to shoot one, and this guy's like, "Oh wait, hold on, go on in." So then everyone's inside freaking out, trying to like barricade the doors and all that. And then so she starts the elevator right up, but then we hear Dump say, attention everyone, this is your amazing president speaking. Some idiots blocked off the door before letting the guards in, so now they're dead and zombies are surrounding the tower. Take care of that." She's like, lovely. So then the elevator doors open. She steps outside. And then Dump says, "Hello, Celestia." And then the biggest plot twist of all time, she goes, "Hi, Dad." Bet you never saw that coming.
Dun,
like,
dun, dun.
So then she says, "Congrats on becoming president." "Why, thank you." So then he's like, "You've gotten bigger." "Well, it has been 17 years. So then they basically just keep chatting. but apparently, Dump actually meant to kill Mr. Cinder to get rid of him because he told Celestia about all this, like all the stuff that he had to do with him, like creating the virus and all that. So then she shoots him, but he dodges out of the way, and she's like, whoa. He's like, you really want to do it this way? Fine then, I'll make it quick. So then he starts using his telekinesis, and he starts beating her up, and then he can summon these laser thingies, which... So then she keeps dodging, and then eventually she's like, yes, I want to do it this way. And he's like, okay then. So he summons a wall and like slams her on her face. And then he summons another wall to throw her against the wall, to throw her away, and then he keeps blasting her, but she keeps dodging. He's like, you're never gonna hit me.
So what's with the dark eyes now that he has?
They're sort of just like something that when he's fighting someone with his telekinesis, when he's using his powers, he'll do that.
Okay.
He's like, you're never gonna hit me, because he keeps dodging out the way of her shots, and he's like, so he can keep fighting forever and ever and ever. And he takes the gun away, and then now he's summoning bombs to fall on top of her. Mm-hmm. And she's like, where are all these bombs coming from? He's like, I don't really know. They just appear when I want them to. So
this is his own daughter, and he doesn't mind zapping her and using his powers
exactly.
against her.
So then he keeps beating her up, but we can see that he's getting more and more tired. And he's like, I can't do this anymore. You like to fire this thing, don't you? Oh, you aren't getting it back. 'Cause honey, baby, Celestia, won't you come back to me? Can we be a family again?
Wait a minute. Just a minute ago, he was happy to be like...
Exactly. And then now he's greeting her with open arms, and she hugs him, and she's like, yes. And he's like, good. Now we can. But of course, she knees him in the crotch and punches him out the window. And then that's all I got so far, but...
Oh, man. Look at all this adventure yet to be told over here on the blank side. So where did you get the idea for this?
Well, I kind of just wanted to get a situation where I could introduce Celestia into a world where she can actually just do what her character would normally do. Mm-hmm. But also when I started making this, I realized that I wanted to have more of a backstory between her and Mr. Cinder. Mm-hmm. So I have a pretty good idea on what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So that's a comic that I might make in the future. Mm-hmm. But it might be a bit. But yeah, those are all my comics.